Good morning, and welcome to All People's Church, Unitarian Universalist. My name is Mary Ann Clark, and I will be your co-celebrant this morning. In the pulpit is our wonderful minister, Lori King Nelson. If you have been here before, one time or many, you are welcome here. All People's Church is more than a place to gather on Sundays. It's a community, a spiritual home where you may develop and deepen your gifts. We gather to feed our minds and souls that we may each become blessings to our families, to our friends, and to the larger world among us, around us. If you're a visitor today and you haven't yet signed in, please do so. There's a visitor's table by the front door. Signing in will give us the opportunity to acknowledge your visit and to place you on our mailing list to receive weekly emails and our monthly newsletter. Before we continue with our service, there are a few announcements, and the first one is Joe.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Well, this morning, I have a guest that I would like to introduce to all of you. It is Debbie Sharp from Don't Forget to Feed Me. Give her a warm welcome. And I would like to present Debbie with our last month's donations, and which you guys did so good. Give yourselves a round of applause. $156 to Don't Forget to Feed Me for the month of January.
Yay!
And Debbie has a few words to say.
Oh, thank you so much. Jo is our champion. She's a champion of our cause. We couldn't do it without her. And thank you to all of you who have been donating regularly. It's great to get to meet everyone, put the name with the face, so we appreciate it. We are the only pet food bank in North Texas. We just do dog and cat food, but we have 32 partners that we distribute the food through, so you can't come directly to our warehouse. We send all the food out to food pantries, Meals on Wheels, and low-income senior citizen centers. And we distribute over 36,000 pounds of dog and cat food every month. Each partner gets a certain amount of food. So it's a big task to meet that demand every month. So we end up purchasing a lot of the food, but we rely on donations heavily. We have donation locations across the Metroplex where you can drop off pet food and just pet food. We take dog, cat food, and then gallon-size Ziploc bags because we have volunteers who bag the food and get it ready for the distribution. So it's critical. We get a lot of great feedback about how important the program is to the recipients, and we couldn't do it without you. I've had a person call me that had just left the Fort Worth shelter getting ready to surrender their dog, and he said he found out about us and he decided not to surrender the dog and to try to get help with resources for food. So that is our goal, to keep pets in their homes with their families. So that was extra special to hear that feedback. So we appreciate everyone and all that you've done. We've been around since 2008, so we're getting better at what we're doing, but the need is also increasing, unfortunately, continually, and the price of pet food. So it's a struggle, but this absolutely helps, and we appreciate it every month. And thank you, Joe.
Today is the last day for the Valentine fundraiser for the choir. Plants out there for $5, little cute puppy loves for $5, and then there's Valentine cups, 2 for $5, and it's a cup full of kisses or a Valentine cup with Valentines. So today's the last day. Whatever doesn't go goes to the Goodwill. So it's still going to go to a good cause, but love to have your support for the choir. And then on February 20th, we're having a concert here. 6 different churches, interfaith, putting on a fundraiser for the North Texas Transportation Network, offering scholarships for people who need to travel outstate for trans medicines and procedures and doctoring, because Texas says we can't do it here. So it's a big fundraiser. They've already raised $7,000, so I'd like our church to be able to contribute a couple more thousand. So I'll be taking money for that, anybody that wants to contribute. Thank you.
And we have one more announcement from Jane Collins.
Hi, I just wanted to remind people that the second Sundays when we have our book group and we're reading Texas Tough by Robert Perkinson. This time we're on chapter 5, and Jacob Green is going to present it, so if you haven't read it, you can still participate. And this one's kind of interesting because the 12-string guitar player, Leadbelly, is really prominent in this chapter because he was in the Sugar Land prison, and then again in that famous prison in Louisiana. That's where he came from. So anyway, I watched his movie that came out in '76, and then you can buy some of his music over the. He got interviewed by the famous John Lomax, so he's all recorded. If any of you would like to hear his music.
Thank you, Jane. And now please settle comfortably for our musical prelude.
So before I start, I want to send wishes from Rita Faust. I got to visit with her yesterday. She's doing wonderfully. She's doing so wonderfully that she joined me at a paint and sip in our neighborhood, and her daughter brought her. So I got to visit with her daughter too. Her daughter is just lovely, and I understand that she grew up here, and we just had the best time. We had such a good time that we are planning to bring a paint and sip here. So look for that in the next month or two, okay? Our opening words this morning are by Rebecca Savage. We gather together with sacred intention to declare that justice is our prayer. We affirm in covenant with the beloved community that is possible. Not here, not quite yet. The seeds have been planted time and again. And we remember all those who went before us, who made beloved community a dream that could be realized. Justice is our prayer. May our time of worship and service together continue to water the budding trees of our diverse interdependence. May our time of worship give air and nourishment to the parts of our collective spirits that need to grow and thrive, that embrace equity as a known way of being. Justice is our prayer. We affirm in covenant with the beloved community that is possible. May it be so. Let us worship together.
We now invite you to rise in body or spirit for our chalice lighting, our opening hymn, and our spoken affirmation. Our chalice lighting words today are from the Reverend David Breeden. Welcome all to this place of love and justice, this place where we attempt to live up to humanity's highest ideals, highest hopes. Do we fail? Yes, we do, often. Do we try again? Yes, we do, always. Because we are people looking out for each other, all others, and the planet. Welcome all to this place of love and justice, to this gathering where the sacred and the holy are our being together. Please join now in singing our opening hymn of the month for February, number 113, Where is Our Holy Church? And now our affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. Please be seated. The young and the young at heart are now invited to come forward for our time for all ages here at the chancel.
I know we have young people here this morning, but I'm not sure if they're not so busy that they can't come visit with us. They looked very busy earlier. So I've been thinking a lot this week about peace of mind and taking care of ourselves through these really difficult times that we're facing. It is more important than ever to take time for ourselves and let go of some of the hatred and anger and poor behavior that we are witnessing around us. And the way we do that, for me anyway, is to just silence my mind and my spirit. So I was going to talk with the kids this morning and talk to them about how maybe to do that. There's a lot of different ways you can do it, and everybody has their own way. I've been working with this with my new great-granddaughter. She's 9 months old now, so she likes to take everything you have and play with it. So yes, and eat it. That's right, Jane. Oh, yay! Come on up. Hey, how are you this morning? Hey, Hunter. Where's your brother? Did he not want to come in? Okay. And that's fine. That's fine. So I was telling them that because there's just so much going on in the world right now that we have to make sure that we take care of ourselves. And when things get really crazy, we have to have a way to help calm ourselves down. And so I was telling everyone that I got a drum. You can do a lot of different things with it, but I got a little one that's made of plasticky, rubbery stuff for my great-granddaughter so she can chew on it while I'm trying to teach her how to use this. She'll get the hang of it eventually. So with this, not only can you make noise like this and think about it while you're doing it or let your mind just wander, but you can also make sounds of like the ocean. Do you hear the waves coming in and out? It's hard to feel bad about things when you're hearing something like that, isn't it? And it also kind of gives you some control, right? I'm controlling this, and I'm controlling how I'm feeling about it. Would you like to try it? Do you want to try it? Hold it with both hands. There you go. Now ooh, those are big waves. They are fast. Yeah. Do you want to let Aislinn try it? Let's see if her waves are different from yours. Do you think they will be? There's even ways to make it sound like the rain is falling. And you can do that with your eyes closed, and it just takes you away from all the hard things that are happening in your life and in the world. And we have to do that every once in a while because we have to reset ourselves, or we can't go out and help people again. Right? You always have to fill your cup, right? You like that, don't you? Yeah, it's a lot of fun. let me stop it. This will be in my office for anyone who wants to use it. You are welcome always to go in there and use anything I have on the credenza to meditate. I will just, if I need to be in there, I'll just walk in, I won't disturb you, and then I'll leave again. Okay? My office is always open to everybody for that. Okay? Yes? You can. That would be fine. All right. Okay, we're going to sing y'all out of here, and I want you to think about how what you're going to use to calm yourself during the week when hard things happen. Okay? All right. Y'all have a good week. All right.
Unitarian Universalism is a grand vision of a world filled with peace and justice, love and joy. That vision is embodied in congregations of all sizes. No matter its size, every congregation depends on each of its members. Each one of you, by the commitment of your time, energy, and resources, helps make that grand vision real. It is our custom to share the undesignated cash offerings that are collected each week. We do this on a quarterly basis for a nonprofit or charitable organization. Our Share the Plate recipient for the first quarter of 2025 is Tarrant County Greeting Partners. If you prefer, donations can be made using the QR code on the back of the order of service. The gifts of the congregation will be most gratefully received. Will the ushers please come forward?
if that doesn't take you into a meditative state. I don't know what will. That's beautiful. Thank you. Our reading this morning, it comes from a larger work by Mark Schaefer. Perhaps the first thing to understand is the difference between diversity and inclusion. A lot of churches are fairly diverse. You can go there and see people of different races, ethnicities, nationalities, abilities, sexes, genders, orientations, ideologies, and so on. They all look like a college brochure full of smiling, happy people from different backgrounds and walks of life. That's diversity. And let me not be misunderstood. Diversity is important. Having a community that reflects the makeup of the broader community is vital. And we should examine anything that serves as an obstacle to that kind of diversity. I remember an instance on campus where the university planned a major event and wanted all kinds of diversity and participation. But they scheduled it on a Jewish holiday, all but ensuring that a significant portion of the population couldn't participate. There was another time when a major dinner was scheduled during the holy month of Ramadan, when our Muslim community members would be fasting. The United Methodist Church talks a lot about wanting more young adults involved in the mission of the church, but then schedules its general conference right when college students are in the middle of exams. Inclusion is when all of those diverse voices are heard in decision-making and in exercises of power, and when there are no obstacles to participation and engagement. But this goes beyond simply who is able to show up. It matters what is able to happen after you get there. A church that has disabled members of the congregation is diverse. A church with a handicap access ramp to the chancel and the pulpit, that's inclusive. A church that welcomes families from immigrant communities is inclusive. A church that invites members of those families to serve on the board of trustees is inclusive. The question we ask is not who attends, but who is entrusted with the mission of the church. When I first started in ministry, the community I served was very welcoming and made a point of saying so as often as possible. But the same 4 people were in charge of everything. And so it didn't matter how welcomed you were to services. In the end, if you weren't one of those 4 people, you were never going to have any meaningful input into the life of that community. It may have been diverse, but it wasn't inclusive. This is harder than it sounds, because in order to be truly inclusive, we have to think differently from how we are accustomed. If we manage to get past our tendency to exclude and define boundaries, we're still often challenged with how it is we include someone. For one of our instincts is often to assimilate them. We try to make them one of us. This might sound nice, like the idea of the melting pot, but it's not really inclusive, because it doesn't affirm the value of the person as they are, but only as we would have them be. Racial justice in our society will not be accomplished by turning black people into white people with darker skin. Assimilation is not inclusive. At its heart, it remains exclusivist. There's only one way, truly, to be an American, a Christian, a Methodist, a whatever, and I'm the right way. You're welcome in, so long as you become just like me. Welcoming people from different backgrounds, as long as they think, act, and feel exactly the way you do, is not inclusion. It's barely diversity. We sometimes make it past that to dialogue where we seek to learn from each other. These are very nice, but they often lack results. People come, they share, they learn, but often they do not change, at least not in major ways. Beyond assimilation, beyond dialogue and discussion is a more powerful way, seeing ourselves through the eyes of others. This is the hardest of them all, but it's also the most fruitful. What do I, as a straight, white, cisgendered, non-disabled male, look like to someone LGBTQ, black, transgender, disabled, female? This question is important because unless I can begin to understand another person's view of me, it will be hard for me to know how to ensure that that person is truly included. Learning to see how other people view the world is one of the most important steps we can take to ensuring true inclusion. What does an all-white church look like to a person of color? What does a suburban church look like to people who have come from overcrowded cities or from poor rural environments? What does a church that talks a lot about its parents and children's ministry look like to the gay couple without kids? I remember clergy gatherings for the annual conference where the clergy are invited to come forward and share milestones from the previous year. All of my colleagues would get up and share stories about their spouses or children. As one who had neither had a spouse nor children until 6 months ago, I always felt excluded by that ritual. I used to call it the rite of heteronormativity to my clergy friends. I mean, as I said, I'm straight, white, cisgendered, non-disabled, college-educated, native-born Christian male. You have to work really hard to make me feel like I don't belong somewhere. And yet the church managed to do it without even batting an eye. This is why it's so vitally important to take ourselves out of our own comfort zones, our own perspectives, if we are to be truly inclusive. If I seek to understand the other, I might be better able to envision how to work toward true inclusion. I might see obstacles I'd never imagined. I might see concerns I'd never considered. I might see needs I'd never addressed. And I might go about doing so to create inclusive and meaningful community worthy of our calling.
Please rise now as you are willing and able for our second hymn, hymn number 317, We Are Not Our Own.
Please be seated. At this time in our service, we pause to honor and give time and attention to those things most important to us. We gather here for healing and for peace in our hearts, and to honor our time together with the shared stories and news from the congregation. Each week, there's a journal outside the entrance to the sanctuary where you can write a message of memory or hope before the service. We honor these messages by lighting 3 candles here next to our chalice. Also, at any time during our service, you are welcome to come forward and light a candle in our meditation center here to the side of the chancel. In our book of memory and hope this morning, we have been asked to remember that today is Julia and Dan Sexton's 46th wedding anniversary. Happy anniversary. That's a huge milestone. Our meditation comes from Reverend Gretchen Haley. For this one moment, know only that you are loved, that you are safe and whole and loved. Know that you belong here, here among us, here upon this earth. In your body, however tired or broken your heart may be, whatever fear, disappointment, anger you carry. For this hour, know you are not alone. Feel the presence of others surrounding you, breathing beside you and with you. Discovering the way our voices rise and fall together in harmony, in hope. Claim here a resilient freedom, the choice for love, for light, to live with joy and gratitude and praise as a form of resistance. Will you relax and meditate as Misha leads us with music? When Mary Tobin was a cadet at West Point from 1999 to 2003, she and her friends, many of them black, many of them athletes, would often sit together in the front row at the prestigious military academy's football games. Until one day, she recalled, when a senior leader at the academy came to her and told her that from that day forward, black cadets were not allowed to sit together because it looked like they were up to something. Tobin knew where to go. The Contemporary Cultural Affairs Seminar Club, or CAS, a club on campus for young cadets to gather and discuss social issues that crossed ethnic, racial, and ideological backgrounds. The group, of which Tobin ultimately became vice president, often hosted speakers who led discussions on the challenging debates of the day. It was a forum for young future military officers to embody the cadets' prayer, which says, in part, "Make us to choose the harder right instead of the easier wrong." And it was a social space that hosted post-game parties where cadets of all backgrounds would hang out, teaching each other dances. Those parties were the social gatherings of the seasons, Tobin recalled. CAS made me want to learn more about cadets who were not like me. At CAS, upon hearing what had happened, members of the West Point women's basketball team, which was mostly made up of white women, determined that they would intermingle at football games with Mary and her friends. They faced their leader's bigoted directive together, a mosaic of the nation's future. That was then, 25 years ago, when America's political and military leadership was more willing to officially acknowledge and celebrate diversity. On Tuesday, West Point leadership, evidently acting upon an executive order, disbanded CAS as a sanctioned organization at the military academy. 11 other affinity groups focused on gender, race, and ethnicity were also shut down, including 3 engineering clubs and an organization named after the first woman to receive a military pension. After West Point, Tobin went on to serve 2 combat tours in Iraq and had stints at the Department of Housing and Urban Development and AmeriCorps, the latter as a Biden administration appointee, and numerous leadership roles at nonprofits. In an interview, she recalled the story about the West Point leader ordering black cadets to not sit together, because that's exactly how I know the cadets are feeling right now. They're feeling targeted. They're feeling like they cannot show up authentically as themselves. And most importantly, they're feeling like they do not belong. I thought we had evolved past this, Tobin said, and she is heartbroken because of it. These executive orders are targeting anyone connected to DEIA, that is, diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility efforts, and prohibiting military institutions from promoting concepts deemed un-American, divisive, discriminatory, radical, extremist, and irrational, including race or sex stereotyping or gender ideology. I'm at a loss to see where any of these executive orders create something whole, something undivided, something American, unless, of course, that is their very goal. It wasn't hard to tell which way the country was heading over the last 4 years, and that motivated my son to concentrate on getting his legal documents in order. He spent much of 2023 and 2024 changing his name and gender marker on his birth certificate and his driver's license. To do so, not only did he have to get a letter from a psychiatrist, he had to go before a judge in Austin to request that his name and gender be legally changed, and then wait an excruciatingly long time to receive the decision and the legal documents. Only then could he request a new passport that reflects the truth of who he is. Only then could he feel that he had some kind of shield against the judgment of others. Only then could he feel just a little bit safer as a transgender person. And though he received his passport in December, that window for changing these documents closed on January 20th, 2025, leaving roughly 3 million people without gender-appropriate documents. I still hear people saying that everyone needs to just quit being so overly dramatic, that nobody's coming for them. A young Cuban man living in the U.S. for about 2 years, working in the Dallas area, received a call Friday morning stating an appointment had been made to review his visa and that he must be in court in Miami Monday morning, or ICE would pick him up for immediate deportation. He speaks no English, but was able to convey to me his fears through an interpreter. He is terrified that this is a trap set up by the government and that he will be deported whether or not he complies. I'm afraid his fears are grounded in fact, and that he will not be returning to the life he has built here in North Texas. Close to 10 million people in the U.S. are living in fear of that same phone call because of their immigration status. It's real and it's happening. I read something the other day that went kind of like this. Every few days, it would be smart to put your jeans on to see if they still fit, because pajamas and sweatpants will have you believe all is well. It's true, right? If we don't step into someone else's reality once in a while, then we're not understanding that just because it doesn't happen to us personally, that it doesn't matter. It does matter. And we need to step into other people's lives to understand what it's doing to them. Judgment has two meanings. It can mean discernment between good and evil, right and wrong, or it can mean to condemn. At-risk communities are being judged in the harshest ways we have seen in decades, and we are called to stand with them using a different definition of judgment. In reading about the plantings of UUs in this country, I ran across this. I once heard an elevator speech, that ubiquitous attempt to explain Unitarian Universalism in the time it takes for an elevator to go from floor to floor, that centered around the origin of the word heretic, which is Greek for one who chooses. Our lives as religious liberals are full of choices, but fundamental to them all is the one: we choose to be together, not because we share belief or creed, but because we share a commitment to the good of all. We're called to seek justice liberally. We're called to protect others liberally. We're called to choose love each and every time we are faced with hate or cruelty, bringing those people into our fold and protecting them because we share a commitment to the good of all. We have lifted love as our highest value And while this covenant begins with one-on-one or small group relationships, it expands further to connect and include people we may never meet. Our integrity as a community relies on our shared commitment to this covenant. Last Sunday, an impressive number of members and visitors stayed after church to discuss the deportation directives issued by this new administration and ways we can protect vulnerable immigrants should ICE attempt to enter our church. People who have covenanted with one another to bring our highest value into every choice, every decision. Everyone there, sitting in a circle of chairs, listening intently, asking questions, offering suggestions, committed to the task at hand because they are committed to the good of all. UUs have been doing this for centuries. Being persecuted and protecting others from persecution is nothing new and will never go unanswered on our watch. I'm going to leave you with another piece of covenant that I heard. Within complete knowledge, partial truth, and uneven love, we nonetheless believe that the bonds of love keep open the gates of freedom. She acknowledges that there is always more to learn, but that fulfillment is possible for us and for our children. May it be so. Will you rise in body or spirit and join in the closing hymn, number 170? We are a gentle, angry people.
Our closing chalice words are from the Reverend William F. Schultz. This is the mission of our faith, to teach the fragile art of hospitality, to revere both the critical mind and the generous heart, to prove that diversity need not mean divisiveness, and to witness all that we must hold the whole, and to witness to all that we must hold the whole world in our hands.
Love holds you. Love bears witness to all your inherent dignity and worthiness. It witnesses how you try, succeed, and fail. And it does not flinch. Love will not let you go. Love holds all of you. The service has ended, and we invite all to join us for coffee and conversation in the library at the rear of the sanctuary. Go forth and have a meaningful and peace-filled week.